Hey guys, this is a proper task guide for the Punisher Part 1. For this task, you have to eliminate 15 scavs while using an AKM series on Shoreline. So really the only requirement for this task is that you have to use an AKM series weapon, which is important to note because you don't just have to use the AKM, you can use anything from the series. So that includes the AKM, the AKMN, the AKMS, or the AKMSN. So any of these that you have lying around in your stash or whichever one is cheaper on the flea market for you to buy at the time, you are good to run any of these four and it will count towards your task. Now the biggest difference in between them is that if it has an N in the name, so the AKMN or the AKMSN, these already have a dovetail that's on the side of it, so that if you wanted to, you could take a PSO1 or also an EKP and then just throw those on the side and then you will be good to go in terms of a sight. A lot of people do recommend this PSO sight, however I do hate it. I find it looks atrocious, and so you will never catch me running this sight on my gun regardless of how much money that I will save. If I was to use an option for a dovetail mount, it would probably be this EKP, and that's just my own personal preference. However, there is an easy change that you can do in order to get around having to use one of the dovetail mounts. So if I was just to go into my AKM, then I can take off this rear sight as well as this dust cover, and then you can go and buy a Bastion from level 1 skier for like 6,500 rubles, and then you can take that sight or any sight that you want that can go onto a Bastion and then just throw it on, and then you will be good to go, and then you don't have to use one of those homely dovetail sights. So now another two things that I will show you guys that are relatively cheap that will change the gun quite a bit is if you have level 2 skier, this B10 handguard, it will allow you to put on a foregrip as well as a front laser or flashlight, whatever you so choose. And then also this RRD muzzle brake. And then this is available at level 1 mechanic. And then like I said, the B10 is level 2 skier. At the end of the day, you guys have to pick whichever one of these four guns works the best for you in your situation, or whichever one is the most cost effective. But I will let you know that the AKM as well as the AKMN are typically around 40,000 rubles, whereas the AKMS and the AKMSN are typically around 30,000 rubles, so that could end up being a savings for you. So now if I was to give you guys an example of something that I ran when I was doing the task myself, then I would just take off the rear sight, take off the dust cover, as well as the pistol grip and then the handguard. And then I would put on a Bastion, put on my own handguard, which was the B10. An RK3 is a pistol grip for that extra ergo. I could throw on this holographic sight, which is one that I did use when I was doing it myself, that muzzle brake as well as that foregrip. So now if you're not worried about money, then this is an AKM that I built up that's mostly meta in terms of the parts used, and then the stats ergo is 45, and then the vertical recoil is 60. You can also pick whatever magazine that you want, and then if you don't like this holographic, then you can go and switch it to say the Razor or the Voodoo. It's up to you guys if you want more of distance and accuracy with that, so you don't have to get too close to the scavs or to the possible PMCs. Then you could run this and then it's still quite good. So here's a map of Shoreline with a route that I do recommend taking if you are coming to this map strictly to farm scavs. I also do have the areas marked where the scavs tend to spawn, as well as the corresponding number of scavs that tend to be in the area. So 95% of the time when I run Shoreline, I tend to get one of the 14 spawns that's on the right side of the map, so that's the reason why I have the pathing going in the direction that I have it. However, if you do happen to get one of the spawns on the left side of the map, like up at Path the Lighthouse, or I know there's about 6 of them down here at the village, then what I tend to do is just reverse this upper pathing, and I just bypass these Terminator scavs here and just start at the sniper scavs, and then go down to campsite, bus station, so on and so forth, with the goal of extracting at the road to customs area, and then picking up a couple extra scavs right before you extract. So now to show you guys the actual pathing for this, however, keep in mind that depending upon where you spawn on the right hand side, then that can affect where you start to farm the scavs, because there are like 3 to 4 different spawns that are directly inside the road to customs area. So in order for you to start here, then you would have to wait around for the first 5 minutes of the raid in order for the scavs to actually spawn in, and nobody really wants to do that. So sometimes if I spawn up here, then I will work my way down to road to customs, or if I spawn down here, then I will work my way up and then start here. However, if I do end up starting in this actual vicinity, then usually I will just move down and go towards the blue fence area and then start here at the crane and then just continue on and then totally ignore over here. But for the purpose of this guide, then we'll act as though you spawn down here by the signpost, and then we will move our way up towards road to customs. Just bear in mind that this is a dangerous rotation because there are, like I said, about 14 different PMC spawns that are in around here, and then they could also be rotating around trying to get to the health resort or just trying to get to the weather station, etc. So after you kill the 2 scavs that are here at the road to customs area, then usually I will move down following the road, because there is also a small chance that there are 2 scavs that spawn at the scout tower. Sometimes there is 1. However, I've only had 1 raid so far this wipe where they do actually end up spawning there, so I didn't even put a circle on because it's kind of hit or miss. But if you are moving down, then you may as well check it just to be sure. After that, then we're going to move down towards the crane, which is probably going to be a big hotspot in terms of getting some scav action there. There's usually between 2 and 5. Some are on the middle of the road. Some are inside of the actual crane area. And they can also be just slightly across the road into the wooded area. So just keep an eye out for that. So after you clear the blue fence and the crane area, then you do have a decision to make. You can either head up towards the weather station like how I have marked, or you can go over towards the pier overlook rock. And usually what I do is I will go to the weather station. However, it is also a possible spawn for the goons, and they are horrible to fight at this area. However, they do also count towards your scav kills. But I will usually listen and see if I hear any really crazy automatic gunfire going off. And then if I do, and if it sounds really sketchy and kind of like the goons, then usually I will avoid it and then bypass it and then just go on to the next area. But if you do happen to go up to the weather station, then there are usually 2 or 3 scavs that are up there, just kind of generally in and around the weather station building or out towards in the satellite areas. So after you clear the weather station, then you can head down towards the pier overlook rock, where you can see down into the gas station, where there's usually 1 to 3 different scavs there. There's also some scavs that can be down on the beach or on the road. And then you can also sometimes see scavs that are down in the pier, but oftentimes in order to kill the actual scavs here, you have to go down into the actual pier. Now, usually I avoid the pier at all costs unless I have to go down there for an actual task. However, there is the possibility that Sanitar can spawn down there, and if you kill him or his guards, they do also count towards the task, and they're not too hard to fight down at the pier. But when you go down to the pier, then there's only really 2 different avenues to get out of the pier, but there's really only one way in and out of there. So sometimes you will get trapped, and plus people are still attempting to do capture and outposts, so people are trying to get pier kills. So after I clear the gas station and possibly the pier, then I will move up towards the power station area. And once you're approaching the power station area, then just be aware that there can be 1 to 2 sniper scavs that are up on the rooftop. And then once you get into the actual area, then there could be 1 to 3 more that are down in the actual walking space around and inside of the actual power station. So after we clear the power station, then we will cross over the water onto the left-west side of the health resort, and then we will head up towards the bus station. Once we get up to the bus station, there's usually 1 to 2 scavs that's there in that area. There's usually 1 on the right-hand side, or actually inside of the bus station, and then there's usually 1 on the left side in the parking lot area. And then once we clear the bus station, then we will keep towards the left and stay outside of the health resort, because we're not trying to PvP. We're instead trying to head up towards the campsite area, because that's where 2 scavs are. And if you stay outside of the health resort, then you will keep your survivability chance up much higher, because that is basically the main area where all of the PMCs and player scavs go. So once you get up to the campsite, there you will see a truck, which will have a scav on both sides of it typically. Then we can just take out both of those scavs. And then after you kill those 2, then you do have a choice. You can either head up towards the sniper rock and then the bunker area that's up at the top center of the map, and then you can move your way towards the extraction zone, or you can head down towards Sanitar's cottages and then head down towards Scav Island. It's really going to be up to you guys and then what you are doing, but I will show you both. But the path that I would normally take is to head up towards the sniper rock and then kill those 1 to 2 scavs that's up on top of the rock, and then also kill the 1 to 2 scavs that's down around the bunker. After that, then I will head down towards the Terminator scavs, which are down around the rock area. That's just outside of the path to Lighthouse. And then after that, then I will move towards the extraction. So these scavs are probably the toughest ones to fight on all of Shoreline. I do call them the Terminator scavs, and I have been killed by them more times than I would like to admit. They are completely surrounded by tall grass, and they do tend to shoot before they voice line. So sometimes they will sneak attack you and basically shoot you through bushes or trees where you cannot see them. So that is usually the reason why I do jump up on this rock, and then that way I can clearly see them and then maybe get the advantage of seeing them first and being able to shoot down on them. And that has tended to work well for me. And now to show you guys the other option. So moving down towards the cottages area, you do have a chance that Sanitar can spawn here. However, this is probably the worst spot on the map to fight him. And if he's not there, then they have added back that there's usually 1 to 2 different scavs that do spawn in this area. Usually one is right around Sanitar's house, and then the other one is over on the right hand side at the other cottages. But I haven't actually run into too many scavs here, to be honest. After you clear that area, then you can move down towards the Scav Island, and then usually I just stay out towards the road on the grassed area and then shoot down. As long as I have a scope or something, then you can see the Scavs running around on the island. I try not to run across the barge because like at pier, it is a one way in, one way out type of scenario. So if anybody sees you going across that barge, then they will hold you out and then just basically kill you when you are running back. So after you've cleared the Scav Island as best as what you can, then we will head towards the extract. However, BSG has added back the 1 to 2 Scavs that can be outside of the tunnel extract. Just be aware of that as you go in and around the cars, that these Scavs can be hiding on any side of the vehicles and in around the rubble that is on the road. So just be cautious of that as you are running towards the extract. You're not totally out of the woods yet until the timer is at 0. There's also the chance for 1 to 3 different Scavs to spawn up here at the village. However, they can be quite spread out, and I honestly never ever go to the village to loot or to try to kill Scavs or anything, so I didn't even add it into the guide because I don't have any footage of killing any Scavs there, honestly. But if you wanted to, I guess you could go campsite to the cottages, to the village, and then to the tunnel extract if you so choose. Honestly, whatever works the best for you guys, then that's what you should do. Don't just follow what I do in the guide just because that's what I said to do. You guys will find your own rhythm and then the best way for you to go about getting all these tasks done. I'm just giving you guys some of the advice that worked for me, and hopefully it will also help you guys to get it done. So hopefully this guide helped you to complete the task. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video, and have a fantastic rest of your day.